What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's goal is to make a ton of progress on hopefully trying to nearly finish up the Evo 8 because we've been on this car for a while now. So first thing we're gonna do, and I need to stop jumping around and just like focus on one thing because I love to do that. I love to just like pull off everything and just like work on everything a little bit. But we're gonna focus on getting this wing completely prepped out and then we can move on from there. Let's keep sanding all this clear coat off. We have a long ways to go. And then as soon as we get all this clear off, we can move on to another part. So let's bang this thing out. I'm gonna use a DA today as well as just hand sanding. I think using a DA is gonna go a lot faster than strictly hand sanding. So let's see what we can get done in the next couple hours. A couple hours of sanding later, we are finally finished up with both the wing and the uprights. Every ounce of clear we tried to get off here. So we did have to go pretty deep. You guys probably saw in the time lapse, there was a lot of black coming off when we were sanding, which is definitely carbon fiber. I don't think it's gonna look bad whatsoever when we go to lay clear on it. I did the little wax and grease remover where if you get it wet and nice and glossy, you can kind of see any imperfections that it's gonna have when you go clear it. And they looked really, really nice, both the blade itself and these upright pieces. So I'm gonna call that a day there. Everything right there should be ready to clear. We do still have a lot of work to do. Bumper is not in yet. It should be here tomorrow, but that diffuser, we still need to pull that thing off, get that thing completely sanded down, and this bumper's still usable. So I may end up throwing this bumper onto the blue Evo or just ordering a whole new bumper. I'm not really sure yet, but either way, it's still usable. And while we're doing body work, we might as well fix this thing up a little bit, kind of fix that corner. And I think that's pretty much it. That's like the only damage I had was that corner. Now, before the paint shop closes today, I'm gonna head down there, grab all the paint that we need and the clear. So the base and the clear. And I think that's about it. Let's jump in the Duramax, head out, do some rippers, as long as the tranny don't explode again, and grab some paint. All right, we got the base coat, we got the clear, and we got sealer and some adhesion promoter, all sorts of good stuff to get everything finished up. Let's go right ahead and pop off the rear bumper along with the diffuser, get that diffuser sanded down, and maybe do a little bit of body work on that rear bumper. I'm guessing that this was already re-cleared once because I don't think the factory clear would be looking like that, but I could be wrong. It does look like that is clear over the original clear. Thankfully, this thing is gonna be super easy to repair. Being that all the clear isn't faded like it was on the wing, all we have to pretty much do is sand off all the flaking clear, get the whole thing scuffed up. That is gonna be re-cleared. And then this thing will be 100% ready for clear. All right, so we got the diffuser ready to go. We moved on to the bumper after that. So what we have done right now is the fiberglass laid down just to reinforce this end right here. As soon as this is 100% dried and cured, we can trim all the edges, get it all sorted out to where it needs to be, and then use body filler on the rest of it to make it all nice and pretty again. So that's where we're at right now. So we got the area fiberglassed and filled in. Now we're gonna squirt a little bit of filler primer on it, let that dry overnight, and one of these days when we wanna put it on the Blue 8, we can sand down the filler primer and get this thing wrapped that color. And she's gonna look much better than the USDM bumper. Okay guys, so it's now the next day, and here is where we're at right now. This morning, this new bumper showed up. So let me kind of show you guys the difference. You see how flexible this is? This is a polyurethane bumper. If you come over here, this one doesn't flex at all. This one's a fiberglass bumper. So if you ever get bumped into or anything, or in our instance, rip the bumper off, this one cracks, this one breaks. And something like an OEM polyurethane bumper, it'll just flex, and maybe it'll rip out like one of the mounts or something, but 9 times out of 10, that's gonna be way more durable than, let's say, a fiberglass bumper. And I'll throw this thing up on the car real quick, do a little test fit, and I'm guessing that this bumper is gonna fit quite a bit better than that one. That one fits good. That one's like a 9 out of 10. This one should be like a 10 out of 10. It's impossible to say because we don't have those metal brackets on it, but trust me, she fits mint. She fits really, really good. Okay, so here's the goal by the end of today. By the end of today, we need to get everything primered and sealed and ready to shoot color on. Old fiberglass bumper, just a little bit of filler primer there. We're good to go. The new bumper, we need to completely scuff it up. We're gonna be using this here Pour 15 industrial cleaner degreaser with a red scuff pad. So we're gonna get that thing completely cleaned up. I'll show you guys how we know that it's done when we move on to that. And then we are just gonna be using some Omni MP 172 epoxy primer. So that's the plan for today. Let's get cracking. We gotta get the new bumper completely prepped out, and then we can just shoot the filler primer on the old bumper and the epoxy on the new bumper at the same time. So you see how the water just runs right off, almost like there is some sort of wax on there? It's because there is a wax on there. So we need to degrease and scuff and degrease and scuff this thing until it doesn't bead off like that, because nothing's gonna stick to that. We could put a billion coats of paint on there and it's never gonna stick. So yep, that's the plan. All right guys, we're all finished up with this bumper. As you can see now, the water stays on there, doesn't beat up and run off like it's ceramic coated. That's how we know this thing is ready for some epoxy. All right, for starters, let's squirt on some filler primer here, just so we can get this completely sanded smooth and flat. We do still have to re-drill that hole, but we can do that when we go to mount it on that boy. So we just got all the filler primer laid down on this bumper here. We're gonna let this sit for a while and then we can sand it out tomorrow or something. But we got to pull all the cars out of the shop. I don't want to risk getting any overspray on the cars. So let's get all these things pulled out and then we can pull in that bumper there and get that adhesion promoter and epoxy laid down. It's been a while since this thing even started. Let's see if she'll run. All right, so this is how the bumper looks all scuffed up with just a red Scotch-Brite. That's all you gotta do. From here, we're gonna grab wax and grease remover, clean up the entire bumper, let that evaporate for a while, and then we're gonna grab our Stick It adhesion promoter. This is just gonna help everything stick to the bumper, the bare plastic much better. So we're gonna do probably 2 coats with this, and then wait about 15 minutes, and then we can lay down the epoxy primer. I'm excited to use this epoxy. Austin, my brother, loves it for whatever reason. It's supposed to help with the base coat stick a lot better to the bumper, especially longevity wise, from what I understand. So we did the wax and grease remover, tack rag, 2 coats of adhesion promoter, and now we gotta give it about 15-20 minutes, and then we can lay down the epoxy. So in the meantime, I've been over here cleaning up the gun from the filler primer. Let's mix up some epoxy. I don't think we're gonna need too much of it. We're only doing 1 single coat, just making sure we have proper coverage. And I believe the epoxy primer goes 2-to-1. I do think I'm gonna splash in just a touch of reducer, maybe like 10% reducer. That's what Austin recommended, and Austin's good, and I'm not good at painting, so we're gonna listen to him today. On the technical data sheet, it says there's a 15-minute induction period. So I'm pretty sure that means we gotta let that sit for about 15 minutes before we actually apply it onto the bumper. We were having nonstop problems with that gun, so I figured it probably belongs in the trash. The whole time that we were spraying, it was constantly leaking, even with your finger off the trigger completely. It was constantly leaking. It was randomly like just spitting out chunks of primer. And this is our finished product as well. It's kind of like a rough finish, and I know it's not supposed to be. So I'm not sure if we need to let this completely cure, sand it, scuff it, re-epoxy it, and then we can paint it. I don't know, I'm gonna do some looking around, but this is where we're at right now. We have a bumper with primer on it with a rough finish, and I don't like that. Unfortunately, that is all we can do today. We're kind of running out of time now, so I'm gonna do some research tonight. If we have to really quick scuff this thing tomorrow and do another coat of epoxy with an actual good gun, that gun is $15 maybe from Harbor Freight, and it worked good like the first 2 times. It's just the primer gun. This time around, no bueno. That's gonna be our effort today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Peace out. I'll see you tomorrow.